Good morning, students. Today we are going to learn the second part of the lesson number 16, plant and animal hormones. The first part we have learnt about the plant hormones. The 5 important plant hormones. Can you recall? Auxin, cytokinin, gibberellin, abscisic acid and ethylene. Today we are going to learn about animal hormones. Hormones in the animal bodies are secreted by special type of glandular organs called endocrine glands. In vertebrates, animals have diversified communication system to coordinate all the physiological and metabolic functions of the body, and they are coordinated by chemicals that are secreted by a system called endocrine system. So this chemical integration is called as endocrine system. The endocrine system acts through the chemical messenger, and this messenger names are called as hormones. They are produced by the special cells of the glands. The physiological processes such as digestion, metabolism, growth, development and reproduction are all controlled by these hormones. So what are hormones? Hormones are the chemical substances that are produced by the endocrine glands that helps regulate, control the physiological as well as the metabolic functions of the body in the vertebrate animals, including human beings. So glandular system consists of two types, can be classified into endocrine glands and exocrine glands. So how can we differentiate endocrine glands from exocrine glands? Endocrine glands, they do not have any ducts. What are ducts? Ducts are nothing but the tubular structure that will lead or take the secretion of the hormones from the region of the secretion to the target organs. But here in this endocrine gland, the ducts are absent. Whereas in the exocrine glands, they have ducts. Here, can you see in this diagram, you can see the salivary ducts that will be taking the secreting enzymes to the target organ. But whereas in the endocrine glands, these ducts are absent. So the glandular system that contains ducts are called as exocrine glands, and the glandular system that do not have ducts are called as endocrine glands. And therefore their secretion hormones are directly passed into the blood, and blood only will take the hormones to the target organs. Here the secretions are taken to the target organ through the ducts. So example for endocrine glands are thyroid gland, hypothalamus, pituitary, etc. Examples for exocrine glands, sweat glands, oil glands as well as salivary glands. Human endocrine glands. Endocrine glands in animal possess a versatile communication system, and they coordinate all the biological functions of the body. Exocrine and endocrines are the two types of glands found in animals, and endocrines are found in different regions of the body of the animal as well as in the human beings, and their secretions are passed into the blood, and blood carries them to the target organ. Now endocrine glands. Secretion of the endocrine glands are called as hormones, and they are secreted in very minute quantities, and these secretion will diffuse into the bloodstream and carry to the distant parts of the body. They act as the specific organ which is referred as target organ. So these secretions will be taken to the target organ, the specific target organ, where it has to perform its function. These glands are called as ductless glands. The endocrine glands are called as ductless glands, whereas the exocrine glands are called as ducted glands. They have specific ducts to carry their secretion. Their secretions are called as enzymes. Example, salivary gland, mammary gland, sweat gland, etc. The branch of science that deals with the study of endocrine gland is called as endocrinology. Define endocrinology. The branch of biology that deals with the study of endocrine gland and its physiology is known as endocrinology. So, father of endocrinology, Thomas Addison, is known as the father of endocrinology. And who termed the who gave the name hormone? English physiologist W.H. Bayliss E.H. Starling introduced the term hormone in 1909, and they discovered the first hormone named secretin. Endocrine glands present in human bodies and other vertebrates. First one is called pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is present in our skull. Then thyroid gland in the neck region, parathyroid gland along with the thyroid gland, pancreas which is in our abdomen, adrenal gland above our kidneys, gonads which are present in the reproductive organ, and thymus. So these are the endocrine glands present in human body and other vertebrates. The first endocrine gland is called as pituitary gland. It is otherwise called as hypophysis. It is a pea-shaped compact mass of cells located at the base of the midbrain attached to the hypothalamus. So based on of the midbrain. So brain is classified, we have already learned in the nervous system, forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. So at the base of the midbrain is present a stalk which is called as hypothalamus, and from the hypothalamus present the pituitary gland. It is anatomically composed of two lobes to perform different function. The two lobes are called as anterior lobe and the posterior lobe. Anterior lobe is called as adenohypophysis and posterior lobe is called as neurohypophysis. The intermediate lobe is not existence in human beings. Human beings, there is no intermediate lobe. The pituitary gland forms a major endocrine gland in the most of the vertebrate because this secretion, its secretion regulates other endocrine system, and so it is called as master gland. So the secretion of the pituitary gland will control the other endocrine glands, and so the pituitary gland is called as master gland. The hormone secreted by the anterior lobe or the adenohypophysis. So this is the anterior lobe or adenohypophysis. It is composed of different types of cells and secrete different hormones to regulate the other endocrine glands. Now let us learn the hormones that are secreted by the anterior pituitary. The first hormone is called as growth hormone, which is concerned with growth of the person. The second hormone is called as thyroid stimulating hormone that will control and regulate the secretion of the thyroid gland. The third hormone is called adrenocorticotropic hormone that will regulate the secretion of the adrenal gland. The fourth hormone is called as the gonadotropic hormone, which is comprised of two hormones, follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone, that will help to regulate the functions of the reproductive organs. The last hormone is called as prolactin. Let us see one by one. First one is called growth hormone. Growth hormone promotes the development and enlargement of all the tissues of the body so that it will contribute for the growth of the body. It will stimulate the growth of the muscles, cartilage and long bones also. And so it controls the cell metabolism. The improper secretion of this hormone leads to dwarfism when there is less secretion, gigantism when there is more secretion, and acromegaly, more secretion only in the adult. What is dwarfism? It is caused by the decreased secretion of the growth hormone in children. So these characteristic features are stunted growth, delayed skeletal formation and the mental disability. Gigantism, over secretion of the growth hormone leads to gigantism in children. It is characterized by overgrowth of the body, all the tissues and organs of the body, and the individual attain abnormal increase in the height. Acromegaly, excess secretion of growth hormone in adults. This may lead to abnormal enlargement of the head, face, hand and feet alone. Second hormone is called as thyroid stimulating hormone or TSH. TSH will control the thyroid gland and coordinates its activities and the hormone secretion. The third hormone is called as adrenocorticotropic hormone that stimulates the adrenal cortex gland for the production of its hormone. It influences the protein synthesis in the adrenal cortex. Gonadotropic hormone will have two hormones, that is follicle stimulating hormone and the luteinizing hormone, which are essential for the normal development of the gonads or the reproductive organs. Follicle stimulating hormone will stimulate the germinal epithelium of the testes for the formation of the sperm, and in female it initiates the growth of the ovarian follicle for the development of the ovary. So this is the ovary and the sperm. Luteinizing hormone, in male it promotes the Leydig cells which are present in the testes to secrete the male sex hormone called testosterone, and female it causes the ovulation or the rupture of the mature Graafian follicle and to release the ovum out of the ovary, and it also helps in the development of the corpus luteum for the production of the female sex hormone called estrogen and progesterone. So prolactin will initiate the development of the mammary glands during pregnancy and stimulate the production of the milk after childbirth. Now the hormone secreted by the posterior lobe of the pituitary, that is neurohypophysis, it secretes only two hormones, namely the vasopressin, which is otherwise called as antidiuretic hormone, and oxytocin. So what do you mean by antidiuretic? It will reduce the secretion or the production of the urine. So antidiuretic hormone. Vasopressin or the antidiuretic hormone ADH. In kidney tubules, it increases the reabsorption of the water, by which it will reduce the loss of water through the urine, and hence it is named as antidiuretic hormone. So deficiency of this ADH will reduce the reabsorption of the water and it will cause the increased urine output. And this deficiency disorder is called as diabetes insipidus. Oxytocin, it helps in the contraction of the smooth muscles of the uterus at the time of childbirth and also helps in the ejection of the milk from the mammary glands. More to know. Melatonin is an hormone produced by the pineal body. Pineal body is also present in the skull of our body. This is the pineal body, and it signals for the nighttime information throughout the body. So exposure to the light at night time, especially to the short wavelength of the light, will decrease the melatonin production. So if melatonin production is lessened, then it causes disturbance in the sleep and also causes related metabolic disorder. So melatonin is very, very important for the proper sleep-wake cycle. Next gland is called thyroid gland. Thyroid gland is composed of two distinct lobes lying one on either side of the trachea. So this is the trachea or the windpipe, two lobes, and these two lobes are connected by means of narrow band of tissue which is called as isthmus. And this gland is composed of glandular follicles and this is lined by cuboidal epithelium cells. So the follicle is filled with, each follicle will be filled with a colloidal material which is called as thyroglobulins. The two components of thyroid hormone are an amino acid tyrosine and iodine. So they both are the components and they are involved in the formation of the thyroid hormone. The hormones that are secreted by the thyroid gland are triiodothyronine T3, tetraiodothyronine or thyroxine T4. Now let us see the functions of the thyroid hormone. Production of the energy by maintaining basal metabolic rate. So thyroid hormones regulates the production of the energy by maintaining the metabolism of the body. It helps to maintain the normal body temperature. It also influences the activity of the central nervous system. The central nervous system comprises of the brain and the spinal cord. So it controls the growth of the body and the bone formation. Essential for the normal physical, mental and personality development. Because it is essential for the normal physical, mental, personality development, it is also known as personality hormone. It regulates the cell metabolism. Thyroid hormone regulates cell metabolism. Thyroid dysfunction. So when the thyroid gland does not function properly, we call this condition as thyroid dysfunction. When the thyroid gland fails to secrete its normal level of hormones, this condition is thyroid dysfunction, leads to the following conditions, namely hypothyroidism, decreased secretion of thyroid hormone, causes three abnormal conditions, namely simple goiter, cretinism and myxedema. So what is goiter? It is caused by the inadequate supply of iodine in our diet, and it is normally prevalent in the Himalayan region where the soil iodine content will be very less. So this leads to the enlargement of the thyroid gland, which protrudes as the marked swelling in the neck region, which is called as goiter. The second condition is called as cretinism. It is caused due to the decreased secretion of thyroid hormone in children, and this condition includes stunted growth, mental defect, lack of skeletal development and deformed bones, and the children are called as cretins. The third condition is called as myxedema. It is caused by the deficiency of thyroid hormone in adult, and it causes person mentally sluggish, increased body weight, puffiness in the face, hand, edematous appearance. Edematous appearance is puffy, நீர் கோத்துக்கிட்டு இருக்கும். So edematous appearance. Hyperthyroidism. It is caused due to the excess secretion of thyroid hormone, which leads to the Graves' disease. And the symptoms are protrusion of the eyeballs. Eyeball will be coming out of the eye, and this condition is called as exophthalmia. So it increases because of the increased metabolic rate, high body temperature, profuse sweating, loss of body weight and nervousness are the other symptoms of the exophthalmia. Next we shall see about the parathyroid gland. So parathyroid glands are 4 small oval bodies that are situated on the posterior surface of the thyroid lobes. The chief cells of the gland are mainly concerned with the secretion of the parathormone. So what are the functions of the parathormone? Parathormone regulates the calcium and the phosphorus metabolism in the body. So it acts on the bone, kidney and the intestine to maintain the blood calcium level. Parathyroid dysfunction. So secretion of the parathyroid hormone can be altered due to the removal of the parathyroid gland during thyroidectomy. Thyroidectomy means removal of the thyroid gland. When the thyroid gland is removed, along with the thyroid gland, parathyroid glands are also removed, which causes the decreased secretion of parathormone in the body, and this causes the condition called tetany or muscle spasm. So tetany means the contraction, sustained, prolonged contraction of the muscles in the face, larynx, hand and feet, and this also causes painful cramps in the limb muscles. Limb means hand and the leg muscles. More to know. Edward C. Kendall in 1914 first crystallized the thyroxine hormone. He has taken the crystalline form of the thyroxine hormone first. Charles Harrington and George Barger identified the molecular structure of the thyroxine in 1927, and thyroid gland requires nearly 120 μg of iodine every day for the production of the thyroxine. That means how much of iodine we have to take every day in our food. As iodized salt, we have to think about it and take in the appropriate amount. Next we have the pancreas. So pancreas is the next endocrine gland. So endocrine part of the pancreas is called as islets of Langerhans. So can you see the group of cells? These are called as islets of Langerhans, and they are engaged with the endocrine function of the pancreas. Pancreas is an elongated yellowish gland situated in the loop of the stomach in the duodenal region. This is the duodenal region. This is the pancreas gland, and it consists of both exocrine as well as endocrine. Exocrine part of it will secrete the pancreatic juice that plays a very vital role in the digestion of the food, whereas the endocrine portion, these are the islets of Langerhans, and they are mainly consist of 2 types of cells, alpha cells and beta cells. Alpha cells will secrete the glucagon and beta cells will secrete the insulin hormone. Functions of the pancreatic hormones. A balance between the insulin and glucagon production is necessary to maintain the blood glucose level. The sugar level or the glucose level in the blood is maintained by both the hormones, namely the insulin and glucagon. So insulin helps to convert the glucose to glycogen, which is stored in the liver and the skeletal muscle. The excess food which is stored in the form of glycogen, it is converted, the glucose is converted into glycogen and it is stored in liver and the skeletal muscles. And insulin also promotes the transportation of the glucose into the cells for the oxidation, and insulin decreases the concentration of the glucose in the blood. Whereas the glucagon will help in the breakdown of the glycogen to glucose, the reverse process of the insulin. So the glycogen which is stored in the liver will be broken to form the glucose by the glucagon, and it increases the blood sugar level. Diabetes mellitus. What is diabetes mellitus? The deficiency of insulin causes a condition called as diabetes mellitus. It is characterized by the increased blood sugar level or hyperglycemia. So this condition is called as hyperglycemia. So excretion of the excess glucose in the urine is called as glucosuria. And frequent urination, this condition is called polyuria, and increased thirst, which is called as polydipsia, and increased in appetite, which is called polyphagia. So diabetes mellitus is characterized by the following condition, that is hyperglycemia, glucosuria, polyuria, polydipsia and polyphagia. More to know. Human insulin is first discovered by Frederick Banting, Charles Best and McLeod in 1921. Insulin was first used to treat diabetes on 11th January 1922. Next we have the adrenal gland. So adrenal, so that means on top of the kidney, renal for kidney. So above the kidney are present two endocrine glands which are called as adrenal glands, and they are located above the kidney. They are also called as suprarenal glands. The outer part of the adrenal gland is called as cortex and inner part is called as medulla. Two distinct parts structurally and functionally also they are different to secrete different hormones. Adrenal cortex consists of three layers. What are the three layers of adrenal cortex? Zona glomerulosa, which is the outermost layer, zona fasciculata, middle layer, and zona reticularis, which is the innermost layer. Now, what are the hormones of adrenal cortex? The hormones secreted by the adrenal cortex are corticosteroid hormones, and these are classified into glucocorticoids and mineralocorticoids. Now, what are glucocorticoids? Glucocorticoids are the hormones secreted by the zona fasciculata layer of the cortex region, and they include cortisol and corticosterone. They regulate the metabolism, cell metabolism, and they stimulate the formation of the glucose from the glycogen in the liver. So it is also considered as the anti-inflammatory and anti-allergic agent. Anti-inflammatory, weekam varama paathuko. At the same time, it will help us to avoid any allergic reaction in our body due to foreign agents. Now, what are the functions of mineralocorticoids? Mineralocorticoids are secreted by zona glomerulosa, and this hormone is called as aldosterone. It helps to absorb the sodium ions from the renal tubules. Renal tubules are nothing but the nephron. So nephron tubules, from them the sodium ions will be reabsorbed, and it also increases the excretion of the potassium. So it regulates the electrolyte balance, body fluid volume, osmotic pressure and blood pressure. So body fluid volume will be regulated by the mineralocorticoid hormones, by the reabsorption of the sodium ions and excretion of the potassium ions, by which it also regulates the osmotic pressure, blood pressure and electrolyte balance. Now adrenal medulla. So adrenal medulla is composed of chromaffin cells. The type of cells which are present in the adrenal medulla is called as chromaffin cells, and this region is richly supplied with the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, which is considered as the autonomic nervous system. And the hormones of adrenal medulla are epinephrine or adrenaline, or norepinephrine or noradrenaline, and together they are called as emergency hormone because they are produced during the condition of stress and emotion. Since they are produced during the emergency situation, they are also referred as flight, fright and fight hormones. Now the functions of epinephrine. So epinephrine will promote the conversion of glycogen to glucose in the liver and the muscles. So at the time of emergency, The more amount of energy is needed by the body, and so glycogen will be converted into glucose to release the energy, to get oxidized and give the energy. It increases the heartbeat as well as the blood pressure. The circulation will be increased because of the increased heartbeat and the blood pressure, and so more amount of blood will be pumped to the motor organs to meet the emergency situation. It increases the rate of respiration by the dilation of the bronchi and the trachea. It causes the dilation of the pupil in the eye. It decreases the blood flow through the skin. Norepinephrine or noradrenaline. So most of its actions are similar to those of the epinephrine only. Then coming to the reproductive glands. The sex glands are of two types, testes and ovaries. Testes are present in male and ovaries in the female. Testes are the reproductive glands in the male, and they are composed of seminiferous tubules, Leydig cells and Sertoli cells. These are the three types of cells which are engaged in the production of the hormone secretion. Leydig cells form the endocrine part of the testes, and they secrete the male sex hormone called as testosterone. What is the function of testosterone? It influences the process of spermatogenesis, that means the production of the sperm. The process by which the sperms are produced is called as spermatogenesis. It stimulates the protein synthesis and also controls the muscular growth. So in the male body, the protein synthesis is more and muscular growth is also more because of this hormone, and it is responsible for the development of the secondary sexual characters such as distribution of the hair on the face, on body, and deep voice pattern, etc. Now ovaries. Ovaries are the female gonads located in the pelvic cavity of the female abdomen, and they secrete the female hormones called as estrogen and progesterone. So estrogen is produced by the mature Graafian follicle. After ovulation, the Graafian follicle will become corpus luteum to produce the progesterone. Estrogen will be produced by the Graafian follicle of the ovary, and progesterone from the corpus luteum, which is formed after ovulation by the rupturing of the follicle, mature follicle. After leaving the ovum, it becomes a corpus luteum, and this corpus luteum will produce the progesterone. What are the functions of estrogen? Estrogen brings about the changes that occur during puberty. So puberty is first menses. It initiates the process of oogenesis. Oogenesis means the process by which the ovum is produced. It stimulates the maturation of the ovarian follicle in the ovary. So ovary will have many follicles. They are called as ovarian follicle, maturation of which is concerned with the estrogen. It promotes the development of the secondary sexual characters, breast development, high-pitched voice, etc. Now what are the functions of progesterone? Progesterone is responsible for premenstrual changes of the uterus, and it also prepares the uterus for the implantation of the embryo for pregnant women, and it maintains pregnancy, and it is essential for the formation of the placenta. Now thymus gland. So thymus gland is partly endocrine and partly lymphoid gland. You know what are lymphoid? Lymphoid organs are concerned with the body's defense mechanism. They fight against the disease causing pathogens that are entering into our body. And this thymus gland is located on the upper part of our body in the chest region at the lower end of the trachea. So thymosin is the hormone which is secreted by the thymus gland. Now what are the functions of thymosin? So thymosin has a stimulatory effect on the immune function. So it will stimulate our immune system to function and fight against the foreign invading pathogens, and it also stimulates the production and differentiation of the different types of lymphocytes which are concerned with the defense mechanism of our body.